Vladimir Putin is clearly on his heels. I mean, he's a man in a corner. He was talking about ramping things up, threatening nuclear conflict. But where you really noticed how he's changed was at that recent meeting where he was dressed down by not only China, but India. Instead of being 45 minutes late, which he used to be even for the Pope, he was on time. He looked like a small man. And I just wish finally you would give Biden a little credit, because if Donald Trump were president, first of all, NATO probably might not even be in existence right now because he was on his way to dismantling it. So Putin wouldn't even had to invade it. But if he had, Trump would have just winked and nodded, I think. So can you at least give Biden some credit for how well the U.S. has handled this and how badly it's gone for Putin?
Well, I don't really give Biden the credit because he
surprise,
really incentivized he incentivized Putin to invade in the first place. And I like you, Dave, and you're my friend, but I really think you get into conspiracy theories when you try to claim that there's some collusion with Russia and Trump. There was zero evidence of this.
I said there's zero evidence.
We spent millions of dollars.
Zero evidence. You're putting words in my mouth.
Yeah, and yet you still. Yeah.
No, I said Putin had something on Trump, which he does.
That's called a conspiracy theory.
Putin never criticized him. I mean, Trump never criticized him.
That's called a conspiracy theory.
Even in Helsinki,
there's no evidence.
He throws Putin over his own intelligence agencies. That's cringeworthy for any American. But the president of the United States, I mean, you don't think he would do that? He wouldn't do that if Putin didn't have something on it? Come on, Carrie.
That's a conspiracy theory, and I reject it.
For crying out loud.
And the thing is, like, People were trying to make, it's true. Yeah, Russians tried to hack the election.
All right, but answer the question,
though. Hack the election.
Hasn't at least. Okay.
Well, yes, no, I agree that the pressure against Putin's a thug. He should be tried for war crimes and executed, as far as I'm concerned. But he's probably going to remain there in office, at least for now, until perhaps the oligarchs rise up against him. But what's sad is that, again, Biden's policies really incentivized and enabled him by having such weak energy policies, by not helping Europe and Germany stand up to this Russian, addiction to Russian energy. And the Europeans, it was very self-inflicted wounds in some respects because of all their green energy schemes that made them far more reliant on Vladimir Putin. So yeah, I am grateful and I am glad that the United States has been able to repel Putin. So I agree with that. But I think it is very much sad in the same way that we had an abject failure in Afghanistan. So I'm not going to congratulate Biden for his abject failure in incentivizing the invasion of Putin. I'm sorry, I just won't.
Well, first of all, we had an abject failure in Afghanistan because Trump emptied the prison and let 5,000 of the worst criminals out, and he negotiated a surrender, and then Biden blew it again. That was a bipartisan thing. I give credit or blame to both sides on that. But a couple of things. The reason Putin invaded Ukraine was not because Europe was vulnerable on energy. That's totally untrue. It's because he wanted to reunite the empire, okay? And he wouldn't have had to do it if NATO had been weaker. So that's a very important point to remember. And again, once things got started, Biden was really good with the intelligence. He was good at arming. And so I think, and now that China is even telling Russia for the first time that things are not looking good, that's a really important signal because they're having second thoughts about Taiwan. So I think overall, this has been a good job. And I think overall, most important, I think the rest of the world is going to get a message that this type of might over right, borders don't matter, let's upset the very successful New World Order that we've had for 75 years, is just not going to fly.
Borders don't matter. That seems to be the platform of the Democratic Party. But anyway, I think
it's totally different. What a cheap shot. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, we're going to have to agree to disagree.